Welcome to today's ITAM Kitchen, the place where we talk about topics that typically don't talk about. And the whole idea is we're around a kitchen island, how we move forward, and I'm going to eventually work on this so we have a different screen. Don't have all the automation in place yet. Hey, we're still figuring this out. Different studios, different labs, and different electronics. But back to the ITAM Kitchen is really, we're like around a kitchen island when we have those big parties at our house and having dialogue, right? That's the whole idea behind this. We have Rob and Deanna joining me today. Regular guests we have. This is awesome. When we come to the regulars, it's kind of like we need to get more morning coffee cups for us, I think, and I'll work on that.
Yes.
Coffee cups.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need the ITAM Kitchen morning coffee cups. I think it's going to be part of how we're going to start doing some of this as we move forward, and this is great. Today's topic, if you didn't get a chance to read, it's about we're more in the treasure map. Again, we're defining those roles, and we've determined from the role in particular, it's about the solution consultant. The solution consultant is the one that actually helps identify the issues what the customer has. And they typically work for a reseller or consulting organization, something like that. And they really are helping identify where some of the problems are and how to help the customer. And the reason why we did this role is because that's kind of where we all fit from an experienced individuals. Not saying you shouldn't have also the ITM manager, et cetera. We're going to get there, but it's also about you're hearing directly from the experts because we can speak to it because that's us. It's what we do. So we want you to have insight on what happens in our own mind and see it real time so you can actually help yourself. Because I find the best thing happens is when we talk about ourselves. And we found that Deanna, Rob, and I, and Don's in there too, we love to talk about ourselves. That's what we do, right? We tell the stories, et cetera. And the solution consultant is about not just talking about ourselves, but it's about being able to understand what the problems are, do the workshopping, understand how to put the solution in place, and also be kind of that trusted advisor throughout the entire process. It's not just, some people say, oh, it's a pre-sales role. Sort of. It's a little bit more detailed than just doing demos, right? It's not a demonstration. This is more about how do you actually make it work. This is literally the secret sauce when you talk about the treasure map. So that's what we're looking at doing that. And today, the whole part of the solution consulting is the value. How are we looking at value? How are we defining value? And very specifically, and keep us on point here. Put some great examples as far as different topics here and bullet points within the introduction. Is think about, okay, how are we what kind of value should the customer expect from a solution consultant? Because one of the reasons I went down this path is solution consultants are going out there and they're just doing demos. They're not providing value. They're providing the wrong value. And everyone's expected to go in this role, but they don't understand how to help the customer. And that's really a struggle. So it's like, okay, well, let's outline it. Let's identify what this value is, and we're going to put this around the job description we've been working on the last couple of sessions, and be able to further refine this and make that happen. So we've got that. So that's what we're working on today. So hopefully you're going to be here and enjoy this whole dialogue. Feel free to contribute. If you're on chat, hey, please say where you're from. Talk about the weather you have. I know it's a little chilly here. It was literally 60 degrees, 65 degrees yesterday. And it's like 30 degrees here in Tennessee today. So welcome to Tennessee. Right. But yeah, if you're in the chat, definitely put it out there. Q&A is on the chat and make that happen. And I'm going to be taking notes right here on the smart board as we go through this, because I found that it's very interactive on that side. And it also provides that point of reference as we go through our materials. So with that, to help kick it off, Rob, Deanna, any thoughts or additional agenda items to bring into the picture before we get started here?
Deanna, you go ahead. Start.
Well, some of the things I've been thinking about is that when a consultant comes in, we will be able to look at their environment better because they are stuck in the weeds. They can only see what they're doing from day to day. They know they have a problem, but they may not be able to visualize what it is because they are so much into their environment.
Okay, got it.
Outside eyes.
That's it. Yeah.
We are the outside eyes. We don't have a personal investment in living there. We have a personal investment into visiting, correcting, and leaving. So we're not necessarily, as a consultant, stuck in their politics.
Mhm.
We have to work within their politics, but we have a larger voice because what we paid this consultant, and they must know. We still have to make sense and then do it correctly. Yeah.
Got it. That's a great point.
Okay, and yeah, pretty much those are the things I wanted to start out with.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Those are good. That viewpoint of a third-party consultant is like crucial, because that's why a company that finds themselves in some form of not necessarily identifiable trouble brings somebody in. They need that outside perspective. So that's that. But there's the thing, though. I think the challenge, even with professionals now, is how do you describe that value? How do you actually factor that return on investment for what they are doing, and then, from a maturity standpoint, do the gap analysis, and then determine the value by the corrections that you're proposing. Because it might even be, it's not even that I'm not going to build the thing. I'm not going to actually do it unless you hire me as an implementation specialist to follow on the activity. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to say, here's what I see from my experience and my perspective. And let's now determine, what that value is going to be back to you, and in some of that, there's going to be exchange. But I don't want to go too far off topic. I really want to kind of stay where we're going. So that's kind of, I agree completely with Deanna.
I think you're right. You provide a good baseline here. Here's what we're walking into, right?
Yeah.
And I think the external advisor is a good point. And I didn't add any more into that because there is something, a little nugget I found with most organizations, and we've all been on site with customers, whether we're external or internal, right? Mm-hmm. Is also, if you're inside and internal and have the same messaging, sometimes they won't listen to you, right?
Yeah.
So you need somebody outside to say, really, it's like, really, I just said that. I've been saying for the last 3 years. It gets extremely, I'll use the word frustrating because what are we missing here? That also helps identify some of the alignment and make that happen, right?
Yeah.
Because it's also that validation. That's a good point. It's a validation sequence, right?
It is. Well, it's also, in addition to that, a lot of frustration also comes from the customer as well. And that is, don't, give me a $30,000 report that just tells me the stuff I already know. Right? I need to know what I don't know, and I need my path out.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And a lot of times we've seen this problem somewhere else, and we have back knowledge that they don't have.
Yep. I call it all the time. Okay, so the whole idea, you're right, is being able to look at this. So from here, how do we want to define value? How do we look at the value, right? So here, the value is we're listening. This is all about listening, right?
It is.
Listening to. I'll just say listening to, right? That's what we, as a solution consultant, are doing. We're listening to this information, right? And we're listening from multiple angles, right? And at multiple perspectives. Now, what perspectives immediately come to mind to you, Rob, Deanna? Just jump in on this one.
Yeah.
Who are we talking to?
Well, I can tell you, and thank goodness to the experience that I've had coming through government institutions and how they do their IT. I had a beautiful viewpoint on several of the different silos.
Sure.
So I understand what information security needs and how they should be sharing information across with their hardware and their service desk is primarily one of the biggest places, because service desk is also that interface to all of these people within the organization. They help everybody. They fulfill their needs and their requests, and they also do all the troubleshooting. So that's a big one. So you're talking to service desk and you're talking to information security, or whatever term you want to use for it, cybersecurity, because the service desk is exposed to the environment, and all of those endpoints are potential vectors, if you will, for trouble to come in. And so you're also going to be talking to, say, for instance, financial operations folks as well. Because in order to determine value, you've got to be able to do some equation to dollars, something to currency. If you, excuse me, if you monetize the findings or the gaps, then you get an idea then of what kind of value you can bring.
Yep, absolutely. Deanna, any additional thoughts that come to mind?
Well, when Rob said about we have a multiple background, I have worked in banking, retail, warehousing, title companies, oil and gas. Each one has the same baseline, but they all have different needs in their silos.
Yep.
Yep.
Industry.
Exactly. Exactly. So some of the folks I think of with this is you have your sponsor. I'm just going to be obvious, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that sponsor there also may be an executive. Or you're going to get to the executive, and I'll just say CXO.
Yeah.
Right. That's typically what you're going to try to, and they're hard to get hold of. That's hard to get up there until you get through the sponsor and some of the other individuals. You may be talking with the ITAM team.
Yeah.
And Sam could be included in that. I'm not going to exclude them.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I'll just throw that. Right.
No, that's the coverall.
Exclude that. Yeah, exactly. You'll have multiple stakeholders, and the stakeholders, right? I know I've done multiple. I'm sure you guys have done this too. Done multiple workshops where I'll have 25 to 50 stakeholders in the room.
Yeah.
It's trying to facilitate a conversation like that's rather interesting, especially if they've not talked to each other, and provide that alignment. But this could be your contracts, right? Contracts, vendor management.
Yeah.
Yeah. Purchasing, acquisition.
Yeah, exactly. Purchasing, good point.
We could also be doing merger and acquisition. Nobody knows what to do at that point.
What do we do with that? Yeah.
I've worked a lot of M&A, so.
We do know what to do with that.
Yeah, exactly. And my chicken scratch here. Boy, I got really bad. That is really horrible. I don't know if I could ever read that. Figured out how the eraser works.
Yay.
That's my win for today.
Every time it's new skills.
Well, if you like
Exactly.
like
Every
I
day of the
do,
week.
down hit this like this.
Yeah.
Really tiny.
Yeah. No. It's. I have a whole other board. That's the thing about this. It's like I can stretch it. I can move it. It's okay.
A little wider camera then. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Another thing is, if a company's getting personnel pushbacks, well, I've been here for 20 years and this is how we're going to do it. You bring in a consultant, you kind of loses a little bit of his leverage because we need to make these changes.
Okay, so what are you trying to say when you say that? They're losing their leverage.
Some companies, especially if the people have been there a long time, they feel that they're doing it right. They're not going to let go of their application or their program. This will never work with the new program. And you get a lot of pushback from the personnel. And when the consultant says, I'm really sorry, this is one of the gaps, and I understand that you've been doing this for a long time, but let's get you back on the same page to what's going on today.
Okay, so you're talking about external insights, right?
Right. And sometimes we literally find people who are clogging the system, not because they want to clog the system, but it's the only system they know, and they may not be able to go forward. So without the consultant literally giving the managers a little bit more depth or weight,
Right.
okay? I'm paying this person X amount of dollars. They're not going to be here forever. You need to keep it. Not that cut and dry, but
There are strategies for that. You're also going to have folks that are going to withhold, for instance, system information because that's their bread and butter, and that might be their ticket to remaining. It's also a big problem within organizations. That's how you end up with a lack of documentation and
Absolutely.
what's considered
And
tribal
if
knowledge.
anybody has any additional comments and insights online, make sure you put it with in
Yeah.
chat as well. I'm trying to monitor that with multiple different screens happening here. So please put it in there. We're all monitoring that as well. So if you have additional parts, hey, I'm all to contribute. It's a team effort here. On that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Is being able to have that external experience goes a long ways. Absolutely. So you have some value from this part, who you're going to talk to, the dialogue, which means you know how to communicate as far as you're going to be talking to these individuals. It's not about, okay, here's the check sheet, or you're going to put some just questions out there, survey, and it's like survey says, no, you need to have some collaboration, right? This is, we brought this up over multiple times in several weeks now, this is a people problem we're trying to address. It's not, we're working with technology, yes, but actually it's a people problem. And the only way you're going to address a people problem is you have to talk to people. It's amazing how that works. And not just via email, not via just text, something like that. So you'd be able to do that. So from a value perspective, we have this happening. That's great. You're listening. What's from here is about helping craft the solution, isn't it? Or what's next?
Working on the processes.
Okay.
Yeah, listening and evaluating those processes.
Yeah, evaluate them.
So that's so
You can
cool.
do that against the standard, or you can do that against, let's say, experience over time.
Yep.
And it would be one of those too, is like if we're going to bring a team in to talk to a customer, then we'll do a high-level overview of pain points, but then I'm going to pick out specialists and say, hey, you're really good at software asset management, and you're good at the top 5 publishers. This is somebody I want at the table. And then they can face the customer and say, all right, well, do you have owners, for these products? And if not, well, that's going to be your first step, is give somebody the responsibility overview of all of your microservices. Break it up depending upon the organization and their needs.
You just said the refining of needs.
Yeah, find the needs. There's a nice place here to plug, because of the discussion that we're having. There's a great book out there, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I would highly recommend that you go and look that up and give it a read. It's not a long read, but
That's a good book. It's a very good book. Well, for it. So you're refining the needs, right? Because what the needs of the organization believe they need may not be their actual requirement.
that's why
I had
a
a
third
friend
party
used to be yeah, that's why a friend a long time ago. I think he's on a boat now, if I remember right, sailing a boat around the world. Is he taught me, it's like, as much as everyone says, here's what the problem is, realize the one actually working the issue is the person in the back room that doesn't ever talk.
Yep.
You need to figure out who to talk with them, because when you realize that they're doing everything via spreadsheet in the background, and they're doing one calculation, it's causing an issue for the rest of the organization. Once you solve that, then the dominoes will no longer fall. They'll stay up.
Yeah.
Right. And being able to understand who that person is critical. They might be the silent contributor, right? Mm-hmm. But understand and refine the needs, because those needs and requirements may not be what everyone else thinks they are.
Yeah.
And having that outside influence is huge, right?
Yeah.
So your roles, experience, it's also timeline, right? Timeline from an expectation, putting in here. How quickly,
When do you want to
right?
solve it? I was going to say, to get through to that person in the back, you just have to invite them to lunch on Hug and Engineer Day, and that should do it.
Well, it's that, and also what I love, and I've run this multiple times. I have executives say, "Okay, I need this fixed by March," right? It's like, okay, what month are we on? Yeah, okay, you want it in 3 weeks, really?
Yep.
Okay. And how long did it take you to get to this problem, to get to have this conversation? Oh, we've been working this 20 years, really? And you want to fix it in 2 weeks, right? So resetting expectations of the timeline is critical, right? Because then you can say, and you have to refine that. Also different contributors, right? Again, who's going to help from the stakeholder part? Because everyone says, "Oh, ITAM is going to fix this problem." Well, no, ITAM can't fix the problem, because if you don't have ITAM is doing it in a silo today, and everyone says, oh, we're just going to leave it on their own accord and they're going to figure this all out, but we need data from the rest of the stakeholders. What's wrong with this picture, right? I'll say, exactly. Stakeholder experience or stakeholder, my brain just died. Sorry, it's been a long day already. Stakeholder insights, not
perspective. Perspective.
You got, yes. Okay, let's just say that'll work. And contributions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And let me explain the contribution. Okay, so let me ask a question. Why would I put contributions in there?
You have to get them on board. If getting them on board, they help you by telling you what they're going to have, what they already have, and what they want to see in the future. And then how many jumps it may take us to get them from point A to point D.
Rob, anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, because when you do that, you also kind of get an idea of from where they stand, how the pain point affects them. Right? So if you can gather the stories from, let's say, 12 stakeholders from major areas, then the solution that you come up with then is much more holistic and addresses all of those different facets. It may also reveal other problems that you can put on priority 2 or priority 3 as far as addressing in a roadmap.
Absolutely. There's also a different word that comes to mind here. And it starts with the letter A, not just because it's at the beginning of the alphabet, but it's also about accountability. Because what we're also talking about, which I'm loving, we walked right into this, is perfect, right? It wasn't scripted, by the way, just so everyone understands, this was not scripted, this is just a conversation here, is because when we start to understand the perspectives and how they want to contribute, and I say their contributions to it, then they realize they're also partially accountable for the success.
Yeah.
And the wins. It's both sides. Everyone wants the glory. Okay, we got it done. It's the end of the story. But no one wants to contribute, right? And put in that place. This helps provide and ensure the accountability on the other side and how that puts into play. So that's extremely important. When you just phone, didn't realize it was active. Let's say accountability. So it's a little bit more specific. And to me, that's usually 90% of the problem. Accountability. Because everyone's, you have the person in the back room, they're working their butts off, et cetera. Pardon my language. Okay. Not going too crazy, but it's child friendly here, kid friendly. But the accountability, everyone's like, it's someone else's problem. When they realize they're part of the solution. And this also rolls up to the executives. We were talking about that before here, right? About to the executives and the sponsor that, okay, we have specific stakeholders need to be involved. They're going to pay attention to that because they're wondering why their team's overwhelmed, right? And all of a sudden you say, procurement's not providing the right data because it's not scrubbed, it's just generic, and we're just throwing stuff in there and we can't make sense of it, right? You got contract management. I don't know the terms and conditions to our contracts of the software and the renewal dates, as an example. Disposal, right? We're just throwing stuff in the CMDB and on the disposal. It's just someone leaves, we're going to go dispose of the equipment. We don't know whether it should be or not, as an example, right? Yeah. Let's go to IT service management. Okay, we're gonna log a ticket. We got PM1. We just had an entire server in our data center go down. We don't know what's going on. Oh, I can't put against the CI because I don't know the assets it's tied to.
Or you do worse. You make a generic CI, right? And then just all the tickets then go to that one. Come on.
Case in point.
Out there.
Case in point. Exactly. And these are all real use cases, by the way. These are not made up. There's nothing scripted on this. These are all real use cases to think about and help drive this discussion. Because when you start going down that path and different stakeholders involved, all of a sudden they go, wow, I didn't realize the value I can get out of the system.
Yeah.
By me helping contribute. It becomes a teaming effort. right? That's all I'm trying to say. And the solution consultants, where the value behind the solution consultant is they're helping craft this message, get that across. It's not about just a proposal that's saying, okay, X, Y, and Z. Because there's one thing to put a proposal for a solution consultant and say, okay, here's how the tech's going to work.
Yeah.
But I'm going beyond the tech.
Yeah.
Right. Which is typically what we run into today is like, oh, we're going to put this product in, it's going to be in place. Don't talk about the team. Don't talk about the additional resources needed to support new infrastructure, especially if you put a new platform in place. And I'll call it out, like ServiceNow. You have to have an entire team to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
SAP. I've got some things coming in online there. Don, I think Don's contributing something. Hold on a second.
Yep.
Stakeholder, let's see what we got here. Part. What the stakeholders pain that affects contribution and for getting a language in the same pain? Yeah, absolutely. Just helping meet expectations. Absolutely. Put it in place.
One of the other things we would, as a value add, is as a consultant, we must give them the documentation that internally they may not, like you said earlier, may not have their documentation. It's part of the process in what we go through. And then from our documentation, they must set up their training to teach the people the new situation.
Yep.
And that's one of the lacking things is documentation and training. And they think everybody's just going to absorb the new process without knowing the new steps to take.
Yeah, that's a great point.
To your point, and to the similar that Bill made earlier, yeah, it's not the vendor coming in and just doing a demo of the product for a day. You know, there's quite a bit of planning that has to occur, and in particular tools, often I have found that there's the initial effort. They run into pain, they get a consultant to assist on the implementation, and then as they get deeper into it, they learn more of what they needed. Right. And then there's got to be a roadmap to either how to acquire it or how to work around it. And the workaround is one of those things that can be really painful if you change versions. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, it's also about being able to say, as you're going through this in the collectiveness, right, you're helping identify the gaps.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And putting clarity on the gaps. All right. Finding of needs and I'll say, and defining gaps.
Yeah.
Okay. How are we doing on time? Okay. Just trying to pay attention. I've got so many things happening here. Okay. So
halfway.
When it can, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Awesome. Okay. So with a crafting solution, what else comes to mind? Because everyone says, oh, just go craft that proposal. I've had that so many times the last couple of years. It was hilarious. I was like, need to validate, right? Validate and make sure we're on the right page. So I would say there's a little bit of a review process has to happen here, right? You say, okay, best practice, but let's also refine that. And let's put that here, right? Let's say solution review. What do you think happens here?
You have to ensure that you've got something for each of the identified pain points, and then if there's a breakout of further pain points that have been identified through this part of the process. It's a checklist. It's really all it is. Yeah, confirm pain points.
And what I've learned on this one, before I roll like this myself, is sometimes you think you have all the pain points, and sometimes they believe they do as well. But when they start walking through this in the solution review, they realize something's been missed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you may have unexpected pain points, right? Okay. Again, this is the value that the solution consultant is providing to the role and to the customer, right? Again, dialogue, we say, oh, well, it's just pre-sales. We say it all the time. It's just pre-sales. Well, what does that really mean, right? There's some education happens here too. Actually, I need to put that back there. It's part of that education. Because you're helping educate them to say, okay, here's how you can further evolve, right? I have no idea what it is, but this way. So you're working this, identify its address, identifying the unknown, and also identify timelines, right?
Yeah.
You're aligning timelines.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important to do, especially to meet the expectation of the roadmap to implementation and when you're going to set those milestones.
Yeah. Roadmaps and milestones.
Because you've got to check in to ensure that you're still on the right path.
Right, and the other one I threw in here is you're aligning the budget, right? Because at this point, they already have in their mind how much they want to spend, right? And I'm not, again, I'm talking dollars and cents, right? It's nothing crazy, fine. Everyone has their expectation what they spend. They want to spend $20. And I love the cattail in the picture. That's awesome. Because that's the unknown factor you have within your projects right there. It's the little tail that comes out of nowhere, right? That's awesome. See, we do a great job.
I have a dog that teleports from time to time. I never know where it's going to end up.
Yeah, I think mine's in the other room. But you do that budget because everyone tries to avoid this right here. They talk about the timelines, but when it comes to budget, it's going to be 30 grand, $30,000, right? It's like, and you want to do what? In what time frame? How many resources? It's like, okay, we can work with that to a degree, but you realize you're going to go down to here, right? It's about setting expectation. And let me say that here.
Yeah. That's a critical aspect of this.
I've been watching a lot of these home improvement shows, and once you open up, say, a leak in the roof, then you go down the wall, you're chasing mold, you're chasing structural damages, and that's why you say, well, maybe 30,000 really isn't good, because once you open up your can of worms, a lot of them are dead, or a lot of them need further explanation.
Oh yeah, you never know what you're gonna have under the covers, right? Or you just peeling back the onion. You don't know what's underneath sometimes, right? So you're doing that. This also helps the alignment amongst the team because you're also going back to timelines. There may be additional projects already happening, the resource needs, and they're not going to be able to help us apart, right? It happens, right? So doing that. So it's also, I'm going to put resources in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is the help of a really solid project manager. And let them draft it up. You can costs and periods.
Well, keep in mind this is all solution consultant. The solution consultant's doing this on the fly because they have experience. They have the experience and the insight on this. They've been doing the projects. They may not be doing projects anymore, really, because they're a trusted advisor, but being able to say, okay, I've done enough of this to say, okay, I'm going to put a finger in the air and say, you need X, Y, and Z, right? And that's the trust factor you're putting in here, right? What else we have in here? Oh, testing. Testing. Testing requirements, right? And everybody's different on this one. Oh my gosh, I wish.
Yeah.
They say asset management's crazy and how many different varieties you can go. When you start doing testing, have you ever looked at the testing, about how much different testing happens in IT that no one pays attention to? It's like, oh, you just go test it. It's like, really? You talk about my area being crazy? No.
Yeah. Right. It's a trust thing too. You send it away and you get a green light, and that's all you care, at the C level.
Yeah, you got to do your QA, you got to do your UAT. There's more than one area of testing. Does it work for the programmer, and does it work for the user?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or it worked because you changed that field, which is great, but you didn't change the security requirements behind it, so actually the field can be used.
Yeah.
That never happens, ever. Right? Hey, so anybody online, they have got additional contributions, feel free to just add them in here.
Yeah.
We're having fun here. This is great. Again, this is where the value comes into play, because when you start getting here, we're actually near the finish line a little bit, to the degree to say, okay, we're ready to sign a contract. But keep going, Rob. Something's going through that mind. I see.
Yeah, what I was going to ask is, are you working for or towards the delivery or the proposal, or
that's exactly what this is.
Are we
This is the
working
proposal.
beyond that? This is just proposal.
This is actually this is that proposal. So the solution consultant is doing the proposal. They're not actually doing the delivery.
Right.
Or use the delivery as a different person, right? That's more of your managing consultant, your project manager, and going that next step, right?
Setting the boundaries for this exercise is critical so we can get through it.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Expectation setting and boundaries.
Yeah. Because scope creep.
Scope creep. Yep.
Yep. And it's everywhere.
Well, it's also, there's a different word to that too, and I will put assumptions.
Ah.
That's good.
Assumptions. Because you could say, okay, this is going to be a $5.2 million effort. Great. But what's the assumptions are tied into this, right? A lot of these are tied into as well, but the level of effort.
Yep.
That was a good point. Did I even say that?
How much effort it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another reason to have a PM on your team to help with that. And everybody, the consultants that have done it, many times before, is like everybody understands the level of effort and what ended up being the lessons learned following delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the last things I'd like to bring up for this is I've experienced that we hired the consulting company to fix something, but doesn't fix the problem because the problem resides somewhere else. But they're trying to fix your CMDB without fixing your AMDB.
Yeah. Or discovery. To flow right into that. It's like, is it my discovery, or do we import everything in Excel spreadsheets? And, there's a whole, we've got 4, 5 different sessions on that. Go find.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, that's also a really important aspect.
No, absolutely. I'm trying to think during the solution review, is there anything else to review on that as I've gone through that in my mind? Okay, we got the pain points, make sure they're addressed. That's going to be pretty obvious. You may even have an executive, because what typically happens here is you have the core team that's been involved. And now the sponsor / executive comes in the room. It's like, well, what's about X, Y, and Z? Right? Something was overlooked. No fault of anybody. It just happens. It's like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I need to go refine that because you just added 3 weeks to the project. And they're going to say, do what? And it's like, it takes time. Right. I know something we need to put in here. You're identifying any unknown activities, which is kind of that unknown factor, right? Level of effort, level of effort from the owner resources. Aligning timelines of resources, right? Aligning budget, expectation setting and boundaries, test requirements, use cases, assumptions.
So assuming you have all of this, what's next?
Well, I think we're missing something key right here that just came to mind.
Okay. What are you thinking?
Organizational change management.
Oh.
Yeah.
Org charts, yeah.
Well, so organizational change management is your training, right? Plus making sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
a whole one.
What's a good
Right. Yeah. So that one, this one's easy to overlook.
Yes.
Oh, we have that internally, right? We'll make it happen, etc.
Well, you haven't up till now.
Right?
Well, it's that, and if I would say all the proposals I put together the last couple of years, everybody says that 95, 90, I'll say 98% of them fail here because they're OCM. They say they have organizational change management. When I say OCM, they say they will apply. They don't. They totally said, "Oh, we forgot," right? Because it's not part of the solution, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. Okay, so we're doing a solution review. I kind of feel like I'm doing this sales process, which I am to a degree.
You are.
Then we get to actual proposal, and the proposal is signed, resources, etc. And that's where, okay, so you're actually the proposal, right? Well, this is kind of proposal. This is kind of the content. I'm learning here. Yeah. Exactly. I'm trying. Doesn't quite work that way. So this one doesn't. You have that full SOW there, right? That's your SOW, signatures, resources. My chicken scratch looks horrible.
I could understand it. It's okay.
Yeah, that's good. I think I do. Anyways, PO, all that stuff, right? And there's probably a couple things missing in here, but the whole idea is you're also starting to align your resources and saying, starting to move that forward. But I put this in place because this is what most people don't understand about the solution consultant. Is these are things that go through their mind, how it has to work. These are the steps, irrelevant who you're working with, right?
Yeah.
There might be a demo involved. I didn't put a demo in here. Maybe the solution review, you have a demo. Maybe. To me, when it comes to things like that, the demo has already been done because you already purchased the product. Maybe not. Okay, so I'll put a demo maybe.
If applicable, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put a question mark on that. It depends, right? I'm not saying they can't do it, but typically at this point, they've already made a decision where they're going. I'm just talking about the overall solution.
We've done it before in my career, just fostering that session with the stakeholders to show them what capabilities are there.
Well, sometimes you also have the vendor helping with that too, right?
Yes.
And they're doing that because maybe they're looking for that additional revenue that's happening on top of just the consulting. I've seen both. I've had intermix. It varies. And I don't want to exclude that because sometimes that can be a solution consultant depending upon who it is. Because you've got solution consultants that do multiple things, right? Mm-hmm. You can have some that are selling product and just the product itself. The others are selling the solution. And we're kind of intermixing that here. On purpose, because this is where it's actually headed. You see some. It depends how big the organization is. You had a company like ServiceNow, they're all over the place, right? As far as solution consultants on the pre-sales, solution consultants on the delivery. I won't say it just goes crazy. I won't go more detail than that. And I'm just picking on ServiceNow because it's the girl in the room. Everyone deals with that a lot of ways, right? Different modules, it's all sorts of things. But going a little bit further, this is kind of the proposal part, but as I put in the agenda, what else am I missing here for the solution consultant? What's the additional value that they're actually providing?
Oh, man. There's a point that sticks in my head about it has to do with the reasonable expectations, but I think that's been covered in other points already. Because sometimes it's going to be one that, well, okay, where am I going with that? So we have to be truthful with the customer. And one of my pet peeves, especially with pre-sales interactions, is they tend to sugarcoat what it is they're showing to the customer, and they refrain from showing the cautionary things or the ugly aspects of whatever the solution is. And that has been problematic in the past in real life experience. And then I'm also looking at this from the other side, where in government, you have to have a minimum of 3 quotes from vendors. There are qualifications. So you're going to be speaking potentially to 3 or 4 or 5 different consulting groups coming in to choose one to go forward beyond pre-sales. So you're going to commit with one. So you're going to run through this exercise. It could be as many times as vendors you've invited through your bid process.
It's going to get boring. It's gonna get a little mundane. It's like you got to figure a way to spice it up and mix some fun into it. And that's also where you have to work on defined use cases.
Yep.
Yeah.
To that point, right? You have to define those use cases.
If you want to sell a solution, please don't send salespeople. Send me the engineers.
Yeah.
Send me the people that I can speak with, that I can resonate with, or that will resonate with me, really.
One of the biggest things I've heard in industry about ServiceNow is everybody tells me what a wonderful program it is, but they never tell me how long it takes to get my data in and to get it to work correctly. Part of your done sugarcoating.
You could get it done in a year. That's ambitious.
Yeah.
But you're going to have follow-on activity.
No, that's a great point. In Solution Consultant, it's interesting because you guys are bringing up a great point. Because you have I'll use the newbie solution consultant. Those have never been the consulting side, right? Mm-hmm. And that's actually what you're talking about. They have a hard time setting expectations. They're just following the lead, et cetera. You have those that haven't done the work, and then you have those that have done the work, right? And you want to be able to identify those, because for individuals like us, the solution consultant, we've done the work. We've been there, right? So when you look at that type of solution consultant, it's like, okay, give me an example of what you've done before, what you've seen, how you craft it. And again, that's that trusted advisor. And I say that, Rob, because what you were saying before, bring the engineers in the room. The engineer actually may be in the room who actually you don't realize they can help you in that discussion. Now, you may also need someone else. It depends upon the person and how they're doing it. That's all I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
I'll know based on their pitch.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's very easy to slide one or two test questions in there, and I'll know whether or not you are coming from an engineering perspective, or if you're strictly coming from a sales perspective. This is not to devalue salespeople.
No.
They are essential. They are essential. But I know that, yeah, for me personally, on the many different implementation projects and stuff that I've been on, especially in state government, yeah, I'd rather talk to some of the technical people, because I know that my pain points are addressed.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, and maybe I need to look at the job description a little bit more. I go back to it. Is you're in a sales role, but you're going to also have engineering and consulting experience, even though I don't know where I could get that word there, right? But okay.
Curtis Paul made a great comment during that session, by the way. Definitely go back and watch that one.
Exactly. Because when you go back to this, and we're taking a look at all that stuff, by the way, so nothing's being ignored, is when you have someone, I'm just setting an expectation for the solution consultant. The solution consultant should already have this.
You should.
Yep.
They should not be just doing proposals without the experience. If you're doing that, you're talking to the wrong person.
Right.
Just the totally wrong person on that side. Okay, got it. So what else from an expectation? Because you made a good point. Don't sugarcoat. Even I can't read sugar for the life of me here. Define use cases, sales and engineering experience. What else should we put from a value perspective, just to help identify the expectations that again the customer should expect walking in the door?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to have 30 years of experience like us or something like that. I'm not saying that. It's great if you do, because it just provides value to the conversation, how you put the next step. It's like, I can tell all about 9/11 that entire week when I was stuck in Minneapolis. That's not usually the fact. That actually was a short story, but
stuck in Brooklyn.
You were in Brooklyn?
I was there when it happened.
There you go. But those dialogues is also very relational, right? Because I can also say which customer I was visiting that day, right? And say, okay, here's what happened and here's how that week went, right? But it's not about just telling the horror stories. It's also about being a success, right? Okay, how were we able to work through, for example, this is actually a real story for me. One time I put a proposal together, forgot a whole part of the RFP. For some reason, I was busy doing multiple different things, traveling, et cetera. I missed a whole section to it. And so it was a little off on the proposal. Sometimes be careful what you ask for, because you may just get it, right? Mm. And my boss, I said, I put the proposal in, and he comes back, well, it's missing this, but we already submitted to the customer. It's like, okay, we ended up winning the deal. He says, okay, Bill, you missed it. Now you get to manage it. So But I will also say that experience taught me tremendous amount of insights, how to look at things. Also, it was our most referenceable customer we had with an HP.
No, that's good. That's good.
So from that, you never know what these experiences are going to bring you. So I provided that as insight. Again, from an HP, we were really good about doing the proposals, et cetera, and follow back up. We were really good about that. And that was just an example. It's like, okay, oops, yeah, okay, this is going to be painful. Ended up being the best experience of my life.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen out of that, right? But when you have the don't sugarcoat expectation, identify use cases, have the right experience, deliver. There's some, I won't say something about delivery. Deliver on time.
Yes.
I'll say deliver. On time. I'm going to put over communicate.
Yep. Better than not communicating.
Oh yeah.
And everyone understands. Say, for example, you can't deliver on time because you've got all these other expectations going on. It's just the world. I know the world never does anything except for what's in our head, right? Ever. You can't make it, reach out, make that phone call. Say, okay, I need to have 2 seconds with you and just make sure it's there. So we're good. We're going to work things out, but there you go. Back to over communication. That's awesome. The key on that part, because that's what gains you that trust, right? What else comes to mind? Again, it's almost goes to the job descriptions where we're headed here, but again, this is the value that they should see, because also, again, we want to be a trusted advisor. That's kind of where the outcomes from this. So thinking about that, is there more we need to add to this or not? We have a job description. I don't have that right here in front of us, but
I recall from the other day, I don't think that there's anything more that we are mandated to add this time around for the sake of this exercise. I think
that's
we
cool.
hit 5 really good points that we can move forward with.
No, that's cool. That's awesome. Because the whole idea, again, is solution consulting has been changing. I grew up with, instead of being a solution consultant, it was actually called a managing consultant, right?
Okay.
So you were doing it and doing proposals. And actually, I like the managing consultant role a whole lot better than a solution consultant because it's so much easier to understand. And you're writing proposals, you're doing all this, and you're actually also doing delivery. That was part of the delivery role too, but still, you're over communicating, delivering on time, experience, you have that collaboration, it's all occurring that next step. And that's extremely critical. And that's where, let's just go through the last few minutes here as we come to our final part. Let's walk through what we've done. I think this has been really good. Okay, come here. Okay, come here. Okay.
Like you're herding cats. All right.
I'm impressed. I am myself every day. What can I say? First part of the solution consultant is you're stuck in the weeds, right? And your customers get stuck in the weeds, and you need a listener, right? The external advisor, maybe M&A. There's all sorts of different use cases. Maybe you're doing divestiture. Maybe you had an audit. There's all sorts of parts happening right here. Maybe you had an internal audit. There's all sorts of different use cases, right? External experience. Checkbox, not just a checkbox, but actually you have those, I'll say the war wounds. You can actually talk to it. So that's also part of the stories. Actually, you need to be a storyteller.
Yep.
I'll have that down.
Well, that would be under talking, I would think.
Well, it's communication, right? And if you're not a storyteller, reach out. We can definitely help with that. That's part of the co-op, et cetera. And when you talk about from a who you're talking to, multiple different stakeholders inside the organization, understand those requirements, understand some of the gaps, understand what the needs, wants, and desires, understand different projects. So you can actually get to the next phase, which is crafting your solution. This is so cool, by the way. Because then you say, okay, what are we having? Let's put a timeline, let's stakeholders involved, what needs are, let's start talking about that, what the roles and experience are you going to provide, and how are you going to evolve? I say documentation, training. Oh, you know what? I'm going to add one more thing right here. And maturity.
Okay.
And I say maturity in the general sense because maturity models right now are all across the board. I'll just publicly say I'm not thrilled with any of them at the moment because I don't think they're aligned and they're too weak, fluffy on that side. But when you talk about, when you start talking about this, when you start talking about maturity, it also shows the accountability, the perspective, and the contributions. When you get to actual solutioning, right, you say, okay, what pain points are being addressed? What are not being addressed? Help identify those assumptions. Maybe there's something not going to happen today because of a cost perspective, right? Do you need a demonstration to say, here's what to expect from an outcome because you're doing a product deployment, right, versus process? What are the processes going to look at? What are the handoffs going to look at, right? How are you going to work those workflows and say, okay, here, I'm having a whole tool take care of these processes. How you put in that place, right? Identify the level of effort, timelines, and resources tied with that. Start talking about budget dollars. Nobody likes to talk about money, but you talk about money, right? Because maybe this is worth a $5.2 million, but they only have 1.2 to spend, and they need to take budget from somewhere else. Yeah. And this is important enough that you can help them identify the case to actually still get the 5.2 million. That's what the solution consultant's role is, to look at that. Well, as well as
firms.
Your expert boundaries. Yeah. Identify different test requirements and some of the use cases, just example use cases. Don't have to get all the details because that's going to happen during the project. But you start looking at the testing requirements there. Identify document assumptions to the nth degree, right? Yeah. You have 5 pages of assumptions. It's not too many. I'll just put it that way. Include OCM, organizational change management, in there. And then when it comes to the contract, it helps compose the contract / proposal, your signature resources, and you line it, and you're ready to kick off, right? And I'll say initiate kickoff.
Yes.
I'll put it that way. Exactly. And where does that take us? It's going to take us down here. This is still so cool. I'm so happy I did this way. When it comes to solution consultants, as we wrap this up, is don't sugarcoat.
No.
And if there's something that just is aching at you, put it down. Talk about it. Give them a heads up on it. And that's the best way you can build trust with your customer anytime. Identify those use cases. Identify what use cases come to mind for you. They might say, well, I need that. Plus, I need to add application portfolio management into it. It's like, hold on, time out. Okay, whole different discipline. We're talking about APM, totally different, or SPM, totally different. And we need to talk about that's later. Okay, again, that's about scope. Actually,
yes, it is. One of my favorite topics.
I didn't put that anywhere on this piece. Okay, it's in there now. You should need somebody with sales and consulting experience tied into that. Don't go someone that hasn't had the experience. And there's a lot of those guys out there. And just make sure you qualify that up front. And ask them some of their experience beyond that too. Deliver anything whatever you have delivered. Make sure you have on time and over communicate whatever you do. Anything we're missing here, Deanna, Rob?
Pretty comfortable.
Yeah, okay. Don, I appreciate some of your contributions there too. I've seen you've been chatting, so I really appreciate that. That's awesome. We'll work on those are some great points to add into it from the publisher. What we got to do in here?
Structured assessment area comment is really good, and it also addresses scope of training.
Yeah, it could be RFP potentially. Scope and gathering exercise with narrative roadmap. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you have multiple meetings you're going to have, so don't worry about that. It could be virtual and in person, maybe a little mix of both, but it really helps do that. So it really helps put this in place. I appreciate everyone's contributions today. As we wrap up, 15 seconds, Rob, 15 seconds, Deanna. How do you want to wrap this up?
Well, this is a really good exercise. It kind of illustrates what it takes to kind of plan all of this out. So you can then turn that over to the solutions consultant and any team of experts and support that you have towards that. I wouldn't expect them to do everything that's on the list, but I would expect them to manage those with the help of the supporting the other supporting roles.
One of the things I'm
Any thoughts there,
thinking
Dave? Yeah.
is that we've got to get them to think in the new direction as well. That once we implement this, it can't go back to the way it was yesterday. They have to start looking at themselves in the new light that we've presented.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then from a role perspective, I would say, from that standpoint, I would expect them to do all this for a solution consultant. It has to be a team effort, but they have to be a facilitator as well.
Yes,
It's not about just their proposals, right?
correct.
That's not unusual. It's like, well, that's a lot. Okay, if you say so. I'll be brilliant. I'll say that tongue in cheek. It's like, you say so. This is what we do, right? This is part of that role and put in place. So appreciate everyone's contribution. It's been awesome. Thank you again for making this happen for today's ITAM Kitchen. Tomorrow, Rob, we're going to talk about ATS, right?
Yes.
I cannot believe it's Friday already. We're going on Friday.
Applicant tracking. Yes.
Absolutely. So I appreciate everyone's contributions. If you want to learn more about us, feel free to look at the co-op, ITM co-op, or join ITMC.com. You go look it over there from a membership perspective or anything like that. We talk about this stuff all the time, but right now we're doing an ITAM Kitchen. This is what we're doing live here on the YouTube channel. So feel free to sign up on the YouTube at ITAM Kitchen at ITAM Kitchen there in the YouTube. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much.